What we're going to do here today is check the valve adjustment on this MG. And the first thing, you check the manufacturer's specifications, which is on a spec sheet on the firewall. In the event you can't find that, you can always refer to a repair manual. But every manufacturer has a specification. They're all different. And they're saying 13 thousandths clearance on a warm engine. Well, we just brought it in, running a bit. The engine's warm, so we're good to go.
I'm Dave Grainger. I'm the president of the Guild of Automotive Restorers, a restoration company that's been in business for over 30 years. We have restored over 2,500 cars, trucks, and other vintage vehicles. If you're curious about what goes on behind the scenes of a large restoration shop, join us at the Guild's Classics.
It's normal mechanical wear. You get minute wear on your lifter base, on the lobe of the cam. Normally, if the car is maintained properly, regular oil changes, good quality oil. In this case now, with modern oils, you should use a friction modifier for the flat tappet cam. But the reason you adjust them is normal mechanical wear and tear. And just to check to make sure everything's good. Now, if you get too much wear and you let it go and you don't check the clearance, you'll burn your valve out, because it doesn't give the valve enough time to completely close for the few seconds of cooling. That's heat transfers from the top of the valve through the cylinder head, and that's what preserves them. If not, they'll get hot. They'll get a hot spot somewhere around the circumference of the valve and burn a hole in it. Then the engine will gradually start to miss worse, and you're down a cylinder. On a 4-cylinder engine, there's 2 valves per cylinder, an intake and exhaust in this particular engine. Now, some of the more modern engines have 4 valves per cylinder, but most of them are hydraulic lifters. There's no adjustment required. There she is. There you go. 2, 4, 6, 8. There's your 8 rocker. Gasket's still good. The engine looks nice and clean inside. Yes, very good. No major residue. Nice and clean. No varnish or scum. It's good engine, good shape. The next thing we have to do before you perform any valve adjustments, you got to get the valve on base circle on the camshaft. I'm just seeing some of these English cars have a starter button where you can just push it to turn the starter over, but I don't see one on this model, so I'll have to turn the engine by hand. Yeah, that'll crank her over for me. Awesome. Now, we'll bring number 1 intake up to top dead center. See that valve moving? And how I like to adjust them is just when the exhaust starts to open, starts to close, I like to do the intake. Right there. Well, how I like to set it is I turn the engine over until the exhaust valve on that particular cylinder is just starting to open. That puts my intake valve on base circle on the camshaft. Now we're calling for 13 thou. Factory specs. Here's feeler gauge, 13 thou. And she's just about right. That means this engine's working good. There's no excessive wear, so we'll go for the next one. There's no need for adjustment there. And here's how you adjust them if you need to. There's a lock nut here, and you loosen that and you take a screwdriver and you can lengthen or shorten that arm. That's how you adjust it. Now we'll go to the intake. Not bad. That's good too. That cylinder's good. It's within specifications. So we move along to number 2. As long as that passes through there with a little bit of resistance, you're good. Now we can do this one. Same procedure for every cylinder. It's good. Can you hear that little bit of resistance in the feeler gauge? It's good. There's no play when that's in there. It's good. I'm turning the whole engine over, and it turns the camshaft, the crank, and everything. And everything is in a time sequence. So if you don't get the camshaft is on a lobe, you have to get the lifter on the what they call a base circle on the bottom of the lobe to properly adjust the clearance. If it's not, if it's here, it'll be seem like it's tight, or if it's not where it should be, you won't get a proper adjustment. Then you'll get a noisy engine. Okay, number 3 exhausts. Just a little bit loose, so we'll adjust that up. Yeah. Perfect. I like it. Okay. We'll move along. This jam that holds that tight when you tighten it up so it doesn't move anymore, and you loosen that and turn this counterclockwise or clockwise to loosen or tighten it to lessen your valve clearance. That one's good. Good as well. One more cylinder to go, number 4. So far, all we found was one that was a little tight. Or I should say, sorry, a little loose, a couple thou loose, but not a real big deal. But good. One more. Oh. She's tight. Again, different manufacturers use different lock nuts, but it all does the same purpose. Awesome. I'll make sure it's tight. There. Good. Okay, so basically we just went through a basic mechanical valve adjustment. We've shown you that the manufacturer has a specification for each individual vehicle and engine. And we went through it, explaining how to get the valve on base circle and that. So this one was good. There was just only a couple valves that was tight. It's a good looking little engine, nice and clean inside. So at this point we just got to clean up the gasket surface and wash the valve cover and put it back together and fire it up. Adjusted all the valves, cleaned the cover up, put it all back together. So you want to jump in and just fire it just for a very short time because we're inside here, and I'll just make sure it sounds okay and we're good.
All right. You found some tight ones and loose ones?
Two. All the other ones were pretty well right on the money. Oh, yeah. There we go. Okay. Yeah. Okay. There we go. Whoa! Good enough. Okay. Nothing clacking, banging. We're good. We can't run it too much in here. We're good, boys. Success. I was looking for uniformity. No one that's standing out from the others, and it's all good. Sometimes if the adjustment's not right on, you got to go back in. You might get one that's a little bit loose, and it's clattering around. Normally it's loose, it's not tight. In the case of one too tight, you get backfire and maybe sputting through the carb or the exhaust. But this one's good. Everything sounds good. So we're gonna roll with that.